Hello and welcome to the presentation video of results from Ireland's Labour Force Survey for Q1 2023 on today the 24th of May 2023. The Labour Force Survey, or LFS, is a continuous household survey carried out by the Central Statistics Office and is the official source for employment and unemployment estimates in Ireland. The official labour market classification of respondents to the survey is based on International Labour Organization, or ILO, concepts and definitions, and you can find out more information about the survey from our website or by contacting us at labour@cso.ie. The published infographic with summary results from the Labour Force Survey for Q1 2023 is shown here. The estimated number of persons in employment in Q1 was just under 2,609,000, an increase of 4.1% compared to Q1 last year, while the estimated number of persons classified as unemployed at 110,700 is down 12.7% compared to a year ago. The estimated employment rate for persons aged 15 to 64 years at 73.6% in Q1 is the highest level recorded since the series began in 1998, and the series is shown in the chart along the bottom of the infographic. The employment rate has now exceeded 73% in 5 of the last 6 quarters, all higher than the previous peak of the series of 72.5% back in Q3 of 2007. The employment rate for females in Q1 at 69.2% is also at its highest level in the series. And so the official estimates for Q1 and the number of persons classified as being in employment was 2,608,500. That's an increase of just over 100,000 or 4.1% compared to a year ago. The employment rate for persons aged 15 to 64 years at its record level of 73.6% is up 0.8 percentage points relative to a year ago. The seasonally adjusted estimate for the number of persons in employment in Q1 was just over 2.62 million, an increase of 1.9% compared with the previous quarter, Q4 2022. The trend in seasonally adjusted employment volume over the last 4 years is shown here, and shows the sustained growth throughout 2022 and now into 2023, increasing by 1.9% in the latest quarter. For females, seasonally adjusted employment increased by 2.1% in the quarter to 1.23 million, while for males the figure was up 1.9% in the quarter to just under 1.4 million. The annual change in employment volume of just over 100,000, broken down by age and sex, is shown here. There has been growth in all categories, but the strongest growth is among the 45 to 54-year-olds, up by over 30,000 overall, and the 35 to 44-year-olds, up by almost 25,000. There was also strong growth among females aged 55 to 64. The chart here shows the employment rate for 15 to 64-year-olds across the different NUTS 3 regions of the country by region of residence for Q1 2023, and with the corresponding rate for last year shown for comparison. The employment rate in the Dublin region at 75.5% is the highest in the country and is up by 0.4 percentage points on a year ago. The employment rate exceeds 73% now in 4 additional regions, that's the Mid-East, the Midland, South West and West, and is lower in the remaining 3 regions, Border, the Midwest and the South East, at around 71% in each case. Estimated employment rates for Q1 by age and sex are shown here. The employment rate for both males and females is highest among those aged 35 to 44-year-olds at 90.9% for males and at 78.7% for females. The youth employment rate, which is for those aged 15 to 24-year-olds, stood at around 47% for both males and females. The chart in this slide shows the share of those employed by full-time versus part-time employment in Q1. 87% of males indicated that they work full-time, while 69% of females worked full-time. Part-time underemployment, that's those who work part-time but who would like to work more hours for more pay, was around 1 in 5 part-time workers in Q1 at 23% and 18% for males and females respectively. The chart in this slide shows the estimated numbers of persons in employment in quarter one by economic activity or NACE sector compared to a year ago. The economic sectors that saw the largest year-on-year percentage growth in quarter one were in the administrative and support service activities sector, which increased by 10.5% or 10,700 people, and in the retail sector, which is up by 9.8%. While there were decreases in the agriculture, forestry and fishing sector, which decreased by 4,400 or 4.3%, in the transportation and storage sector, which fell by around 2,600 or 2.3%. And the chart on this slide compares the number of hours worked per week by economic sector in quarter one with a year ago. Overall, the estimated average number of hours worked per week in the first quarter stood at 83.9 million hours per week, up 3.1 million hours or 3.8% in the year. Notable increases were in the administrative and support service activities sector, where hours worked per week was 3.4 million in quarter one, up from 3 million a year ago, and in the human health and social work activities sector, where the number of hours worked per week in quarter one increased to 10.4 million from 9.4 million a year ago. The chart in this slide looks at the proportion of employed persons who have indicated that they work at least some of their working time at home. In quarter one, just over 1 in 5 people indicated that they mainly work from home, defined as at least half of the days worked in the previous 4 weeks, with a further 13% indicating that they worked from home sometimes. The proportion of people mainly working from home has fallen steadily since peaking at 37% in quarter one 2021. Looking at the sectors which have seen the highest levels of home working since the pandemic, that's the information and communication sector, the financial, insurance and real estate activities sector, the professional, scientific and technical activities sector, and the public administration and defence sector. The overall proportion working mainly from home has now fallen to below 50% from a high of around 70%, while around 20% are working from home sometimes. Over the last 4 quarters, the combined share of mainly working from home and sometimes working from home has remained stable at around 70%, but the share of those sometimes working from home rather than mainly working from home has gradually increased. And turning now to unemployment, and again using standard ILO criteria, the number of persons aged 15 to 74 years who were classified as unemployed in quarter one stood at 110,700, with an associated unemployment rate of 4.1%. The number unemployed was 16,000 lower than a year ago, when the rate was 4.8%. The seasonally adjusted estimate for unemployed is 112,700, while the seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in quarter one was 4.1%. That's down by 0.3 percentage points in the quarter. The unemployment rate among females at 3.8% is at its lowest level in the series, which again began in quarter one 1998. The unemployment rate for males in quarter one was 4.4%. The seasonally adjusted trend in the unemployment rate over the last 4 years is shown here, and for males and females and overall, with the marker labels referring to the overall unemployment rate. The overall seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in quarter one is at 4.1%, slightly higher for males and slightly lower for females. Unemployment rates for quarter one by age and sex are shown in the chart here. The youth unemployment rate for 15 to 24-year-olds was 9% for males and 8.1% for females. Unemployment rates were considerably lower among people in older age categories, with a rate of 2.4% recorded for females aged 35 to 44 years old. The annual change to quarter one in the unemployment rate by age and sex are shown in this chart. The unemployment rate has fallen in most categories, with the exception of those aged 15 to 24, where the rate has increased, in particular among males, where the rate was up by 1.8 percentage points to 9%. Just over 32,000 people were classified as long-term unemployed, that is, unemployed for 12 months or longer, and this accounted for just under 29% of those who are unemployed. The long-term unemployment rate in Q1 2023 stood at 1.2%, down from 1.7% in the corresponding quarter last year. Looking now at the estimates for the overall labour force, comprised of all persons aged 15 and over who are classified as either employed or unemployed, was estimated to be almost 2.72 million in Q1. That's up 3.3% compared to a year ago. The estimated labour market participation rate for persons aged 15 and over for Q1 is 64.9%, an increase of 0.2 percentage points on the corresponding quarter last year. The seasonally adjusted participation rate in Q1 at 65.2% is up 0.5 percentage points in the quarter. In terms of decomposing the change in the labour force, there was a positive demographic effect of 79,400 and a smaller positive participation effect of 7,300 over the year, which gave rise to an increase in the participation rate over the year from 64.8 to 64.9%. Seasonally adjusted participation rates over the last 4 years are shown in this slide. The seasonally adjusted rate has returned to growth, having shown a decline over a number of quarters during 2022 and now stands at 71% for males and 59.6% for females. The annual change in the labour force numbers in the year to Q1 by age and sex is shown in this slide. The labour force has increased among all age-sex categories, with the greatest increases among the 45 to 54-year-olds, up by over 26,000, and evenly among males and females since Q1 2022. The increases were less pronounced among those aged 15 to 24 and those aged 65 plus. The number of persons who are not in the labour force, that is, neither employed nor unemployed, stood at just under 1.47 million in Q1, an increase of 37,000 or 2.6% on a year ago. The seasonally adjusted figure decreased by 0.7% in the quarter. And so, in summary, the estimated number of persons in employment in Q1 was just under 2,609,000, up 4.1% compared to Q1 last year. The estimated number of persons classified as unemployed in the first quarter is 110,700. That's a decrease of 12.7% on a year ago. And the employment rate for persons aged 15 to 64 years at 73.6% in Q1 is the highest recorded since the series began in 1998. And that concludes this results presentation for the Labour Force Survey for Q1 2023. The next LFS quarterly results for Q2 2023 will be published in August 2023. Thanks for watching.